Welcome everyone. We've made it through the first 5 weeks of the annual plan, the first mesocycle. And so we are going to review that, what happened, the feedback I have, and what's ahead for the next mesocycle and beyond, because I'm going to start maybe talking a little bit about the end of this first cycle, the master cycle, and what I have in mind to prepare the next cycle, which is the kind of the US Open cycle. But even though let's go the name I give them, actually let's show it. That's just the name I give them, but that just to get a nice picture into the year of what it is. But yes. So here, this is where we are. First cycle, the Masters cycle. Then we have the US Open cycle, the playoff, FedEx Cup playoff cycle. And so we are the halfway point of the build cycle, of the build part. Actually, I don't know why I put it that much. I believe, yeah. Let's put it. Yes, that's because the taper is only 2 weeks generally, and then you have the peaking. It's 1 week. That may be why. So let's come back. So mainly this is that technique, foundation, building power and endurance. And yeah, and so far it's kind of worked well, because let's actually review, because on the build power and endurance, so this is 1,000 reps that I'm doing, and the goal is to get to 10% body fat, and we are getting close. We are moving. I believe, because I've switched the. Yes, see 5554. Just because I want to have the data for the at the end of the week rather than the beginning of each week. Let's put it that way. Oh, sorry, you don't even see it. Anyway, yes, we are going to review first the weight part, because on the mesocycle here, let's come back. Here, the first part of the season, the pre-season, is about getting back to fitness and losing fat, so you can, because the idea, I believe I need to refresh that, is throughout the year, since you want to perform during competitive season and so on, you are going to be either at maintenance calorie or slightly in surplus calories. And so what that means is you are going to slowly build fat throughout the year, because you need that, especially in golf. In golf, we need a lot of mental clarity to be able to perform at our best. And being on a calorie deficit is tougher on our system and make it less easy for us to have a clear mind and be able to take a clear decision. So this is important, that throughout the year we are either at maintenance or slightly above, to get surplus in calories, to recover well, to make good decisions and so on. But the main consequence of that is, here you can see that kind of steady building. So you are going to, if the baseline, you start the year as 10%, you are going to slowly build up to 13, 15% body fat. And you could go even at the end of the year, when you are recovering, releasing the stress that happens throughout the whole year. You are and enjoy the end of year parties, Christmas, and so on. You may go as high as 15 to 17% body fat. And so what you need to do starting the year is actually cut back on that. And that's great, because when you want to build endurance and do a little bit of hypertrophy work, those work require a ton of volume. And ton of volume burn a lot of calories. So if you're at the same time in caloric deficit, you are putting the two things on the same page. The only issue is that's very difficult to build muscle while you are cutting back, but that's okay, because then you are going to do that throughout the rest of the year. But even though now let's take a look at it, I've been able to gain muscle. That's insane. But there is also a reason for that, because for the first time in my life, I actually take proteins with a protein check at the end of the day to make sure I have enough protein for the day. And I believe that I am about 150 grams of protein per day, which equate to 0.9 gram per pound, or almost 2 gram per kilogram of body weight, something like that. So that's not very high. I believe there's a lot of people that get very high, but I also know that I have a very good genetic for that, and I respond very well to protein. I don't need a lot to actually. Usually, I was able to maintain just my body mass with like less than 100 gram of protein per day. So for me, getting to 150 is huge. And also, I've started taking creatine. And so that's kind of the mix that I wanted to make, is actually having putting the condition right for me to lose fat and maintain muscle. And the consequence that I wasn't expecting is that I did it so well that actually I started gaining muscle. The only here you see that I have lost a little bit of muscle during this week is because for one day, and I believe this is this day that actually burned my muscle to the ground, I actually had to switch my schedule because we were celebrating a birthday of a friend on the evening, and so I had to do my workout before my first meal of the day. And since my workout is absolutely obscene and I was running on no fuel at all, I believe that's what kind of burnt, because when your body doesn't have energy, it's just burning muscle, liquefying muscle to get the energy to actually get things done. So I believe this is the reason of and that doesn't take much to actually burn, but that allowed me to really drop a full kilogram and a little bit more of body weight. I don't really care that much about the weight in kilogram. What I do care is the percentage of body fat, since the goal is to get back to 10%. The goal was to maintain my muscle mass. For now, I'm on track. I'm maintaining, and I'm even above, so that's fine. And so far so good. I on average lost 1% per weeks. We have 4 weeks left, so I should get into 10% territory. Not below 10%, but that's close. That's a close call. I need to keep going and really make sure I keep going on losing 1% per week, which is going to be more and more difficult probably as we go. But I mean, honestly, I was starting at 19%. That's way above what I should. I really let myself go during last year in terms of eating habit and so on. So if I can get close to 10%, that means that as long as I don't get above 17% at the end of the year, that's more than fine. I will be able to get back to 10% very easily. The idea is not to get above 15%, to be honest. 17% is already too high. But anyway, so yeah, the way I'm doing things really work, and that's something I think I'm going to do from now on every single year. At the beginning of the year, just do that, get back to 10% body fat, and get ready to perform for the whole year. So far, we are on track with the target. Why did I put... yes, that was just for the line here that you see here. So, on track. Steadily going down. Also, something I want to look at, because something that can really affect the reading here, is how much water retention you're keeping in your body when you're weighing yourself. And so I tried a few things, but I need to do some research on actually how to flush out all the water in your body to have a clear reading on how much body fat percentage you actually have. Anyway, so in terms of speed, that was an interesting week as well. So we got this week a little high and then a little down. When it went high, it's kind of when I was kind of on the euphoric stage, consolidating the swing, and the speed starting ramping up. And with the euphoria of the speed ramping up, I was kind of going after it, and yeah, so I let myself a little go without caring that much about the technique. But we made almost an average for the whole week of almost 110. Pretty insane. Because if you remember, the goal is here to get... I'm not saying the average... I mean, if I can get the average at 115, that would be just brutal. But what the 115 would be more for instance, okay, I do my warm up, and when after 30, 50 ball, when I get into the groove of it, into the rhythm of it, I'm able to consistently hitting ball between 114, 115, and even a few at 115, 115.2, 0.3, and just staying consistently above that once I'm warmed up. The issue with the average here is it takes all the speed throughout the session, from the beginning all the way at the end. So of course at the beginning, since I'm not in the good sequence and so on, I'm kind of slower. And you see that the one with the highest average are also the one where I started with almost the highest first ball, because that didn't affect that much the average. But also this one I started with a kind of high first ball. That's not the first ball, this is a minimum throughout the session. So, but generally the minimum happen at the beginning when I'm not very comfortable. But still, because I wasn't really pushing, I was trying to understand, feeling better and so on, and testing a few stuff. Anyway, so that's for the speed. Now, this mesocycle is over. I believe we done it. 2 weeks straight without failing a single day, even though this one at the end was kind of under 1,000, but it's still over 850. Why 850 is because that's kind of the maximum your body is able to burn fat. So as long with a deficit. Above 850, honestly, that's not very useful because your body just cannot burn more fat. But what I want is to reach that limit every single day. And so that's why I make sure that I try to eat 1,000. And if I miss, I'm still above that 850 calories deficit. And so I'm sure that I'm burning as much fat as I possibly can on a daily basis. That's why I have this target of 1,000. But this is why also I need to be very careful, because I found that every time I reach over 1,250 calories of deficit, that's kind of really the limit. This day was close, but every time I reach that, then it's so much on my resources that then the next day I'm really shitty. I have a really hard time. Even though that doesn't really show that much, but yeah, I didn't have that much. Yeah, is this one here? Even though I managed to get it done next. Yeah, for instance, this is this one that was brutal, and then this one, but this one was on the last day, so I had a recovery day after, so that was okay. Anyway, that's kind of the few things here. And then on the workout, well, we've made the 10 round, so that's awesome. And yeah, so what I want to do is actually copy and paste all of that up. Actually, I'm going to duplicate for the Meso 2, because the Meso 2, actually I didn't talk about a lot of. So getting back to fitness, Meso 2 is going to be more, so back to fitness I am. Because the idea of getting back to fitness was really about this 10,000 reps workout, which is about that. Let's put it that way. So 10 to 11, because I have 11 exercise, and that have reps effort about the same as the push-up. And if this is the same as the push-up, you do 10 reps. If this is more difficult than a push-up, you do only 5. And if this is easier than a push-up, you do 20. That's kind of the deal here. And so you do 10 rounds, and you have to do it under 1 hour. My personal best was not with this exact exercise selection, with another exercise session was under 40 minutes. But I believe with this exercise selection, there is some exercise that take a little longer. I believe that's going to be tough. My best here was 10 round, 49, 26. Yeah, so far 29, 46. I believe that's going to be very tough to get under a full 40 minutes. Maybe I can go under 45 minutes, but that's pretty much to get under 20 minutes and under 40 minutes. I need to rush through every exercise without taking a break. I'm already borderline passing out at some point during this workout, or because I'm drinking water, and sometimes the water kind of floating in my stomach and make me a little bit sick because I'm bouncing around doing exercise and so on. And so sometimes I even want to throw up. So yeah, and I don't know necessarily how much benefit I'm going to get out of it anyway. I'm back to fitness, and so on that side, I believe that's okay. So now this is about, okay, what this mesocycle is going to be about. That kind of the question. So if we come back here, technique, foundation, power endurance. The power endurance is kind of the 1,000 reps workout. Endurance and power endurance. Anyway, that's kind of the main workout here. So we got that done. Now we want to maintain the power endurance, and also keep burning fat. So it's important that I'm doing my 10,000 reps. But I'm going to now. At the beginning, I was also doing hypertrophies, as you saw here. But I started putting it aside because of the volume of adaptation I needed just to get used to the 1,000 reps. Now that my body is used to this 1,000 reps, that's pretty much. Now that my body is adapted, I can add more exercise to actually build more muscle and so on, and to get to prepare myself better for what's coming next. So I believe what I'm going to do is try to maintain this 1,000 reps workout, but really try to put more effort into the workout, into more strength and hypertrophy, which I've been putting aside for the first mesocycle since it was generating too much volume. I still did my my heavy strength compound workout, but on the hypertrophy side, I was kind of chilling, not pushing that much. Anyway, on the technique side, for golf, the idea here is going to be finalizing. I believe we have kind of the core foundation of of the swing that I need to make in order to get to the 130, which is pretty much getting as close as possible to Rory swing. But if by the end I don't exactly reach Rory swing, that's okay, because we will finalize the detail over the year. But I want the big chunk of the work to be done, to be clear, and I believe we are very close to that. So that's kind of the final point, the final stretch we need to make here, really nailing down every single detail, making sure the sequence is right. And that's also going to link to what I'm going to do on the next mesocycle, which is going to be kind of the peaking phase, tapering and peaking phase of this cycle. Even though I'm not actually peaking for any competition or event, the idea of tapering and peaking is also in this cycle to kind of reduce the fatigue accumulated during the build to be ready to perform well for the next cycle. And so the way you do that, there is two things. First, we are going to chill a little bit on the workouts, doing more maintenance, volume, mobility, making sure my body is recovering well, stretching, and so on. But on the golf side, this is where, okay, we have worked on the technique. Now we it doesn't matter what it is, doesn't matter where it is, I consolidate. I can still do a little bit of adjustment here and there, but the goal is just to keep doing the same thing over and over and over, to get comfortable with the motion, to prepare for actually pushing speed. Because changing all of those stuff makes that my nervous system is still adapting and not very used to the motion. And so when your nervous system is not used to motions, it's difficult to actually ask it to push speed. So you need to automate all of this motion. And also, that even worse than that is if you try to push speed too early, what's gonna after making some changes, what happens is your nervous system haven't yet forgotten the old pattern. And so if you try to push speed, you're only going to activate the old pattern and kind of override the new patterns that you're trying to use. So that's why we need this period where actually I'm going to eat probably only 3 times per week, but try to ramp up the volume to 200 balls per session. Because 200 balls per session I'm pretty sure this is what we are going to do. I want here to go and be able to do 6 days a week with 200 balls per session. And so I need to kind of adapt to the volume of 200 balls per session first. And then once I'm adapted to that, I will probably go down to 150 balls per session, 6 days a week, and then getting back up to 200 per week for the next. And so here we are going to first. There is two main things I want to do. As I said, hitting ton of balls to get used to the motion and anchoring the new pattern very well and slowly getting faster, because that's not because I'm not working actively on speed that I don't want to increase speed. Don't get me wrong. Here we want to steadily increase speed, but keeping the same level of intensity, let's say 80%. But because I'm becoming more efficient with the technique and so on, becoming more comfortable, I should start seeing speed ramping up progressively. And also here, since the fatigue is going to drop, this is also something to consider here. Here I'm accumulating a lot of fatigue. I'm running low on calories. I'm doing insane amount of work in the gym before going to the practice range. So I'm clearly not at the best in the best position to generate speed. So the fact that I'm steadily gaining speed here is already a win, because once here fatigue start dropping, I'm getting more comfortable with the technique and so on. If I can reach 115 by the end of here, what I would like to see is start seeing some 116, 117, or even 118 before we actually start pushing speed. If I can, I mean, that would be the most insane thing that could happen, is actually reaching 115, 120 without actually pushing speed will be absolutely obscene. Because if I don't expect to do it. Honestly, a realistic goal for me would be here by the end, maybe 116, 117 miles per hour with a good swing, a swing that I can carry on the golf course, would be what I would expect if things go well. I mean, things can go wrong, so we will see. That honestly, that's not really, because we are going to actually push speed on this part here. And if I should, I don't really want to put number, but at the end of the cycle too, if we can get into the 120 range, like maybe 122 something, maybe being able to reach 120 here. Well, yeah, but that's not. I don't know, because is it cruising or is it max speed? That's kind of the question. What do I want to track? I want to have cruising speed, and to have cruising speed at 120. Yeah. You know what? If I have cruising speed at 120 here, and cruising speed at 115 here, that's still going to be good. Good, because here that kind of I'm waving between 114 115. Here will be okay. I have the full average of the session at 115, so that's going to be kind of the goal. I don't know. I don't want to go too ahead, because when I see that so far ahead, that's very difficult to anticipate the speed that I would have. That's kind of the idea that I have. Anyway, the last thing I want to say is about the speed here that we are going to do. We are going to do during the cycle 2, we are going to start introducing the super speed protocol with overspeed training. But here's the deal. For me, that doesn't work the way it works for other people. What I mean by that is I'm more the type of golfer that is body aware than club aware. And I believe telling people to not think about the technique and just try to swing the super speed as fast as they can without caring about the technique work for people that are club aware, because by being club aware, they are able to swing the speed stick the way they would swing the club. But for me, that is body aware, I cannot do that, because if I just swing the speed stick however I want, then that's just so much decorrelated to the sensation I have with my normal swing that I just cannot translate the speed. So what I need to do, and that's what I'm going to do on the Mesocycle 3, and we will come back on it, but I'm going to take one of the speed sticks, the blue, I believe, which is kind of the closest to the actual drive, and just slowly, not necessarily trying to push the speed, but try to find a motion that is comfortable, that I'm comfortable with, that I can translate then with my normal swing. Kind of, okay, linking the two, finding a way to link the two. And once I'm comfortable with the blue stick, and I find that when I find something with the blue stick, I'm able to translate it in my swing and so on, and both are creating synergy within each other, then I will know that, okay, I'm ready for the cycle 2 to actually use the super speed protocol and to actually push speed. And this is going to push us to the region of 120 club speed, I believe. And yeah, and if we will see what comes for cycle 3 later on. So that's kind of the main thing that I have in mind. So Mesocycle 2 will be I don't know. It's not back to fitness. It's losing fat. Back to 10% and finishing string changes. I know that's not a very nice title, but that's kind of the thing I have in I have in mind. Okay. Anyway, the thing I have in mind. Okay. There is. I don't honestly. The video is kind of over here. Maybe I will do the swing comparison just after. What I want to do right now is just rework the spreadsheet a little bit. Because I don't really like the way I did it here. That's not very. I have to scroll laterally and so on. That's not very nice. So I want to put it that way. That way is going to be better, I believe. Week 1, week 2. What? Okay, whatever. I want to do that. Okay, well, you know what? I'll do it after. I don't want to waste your time. So yes, maybe the last thing that I want to do is just check the swing, the difference between the beginning of this journey, of the beginning of the Mesocycle, 1st of January. Not, I mean, the big actual beginning wasn't 1st of January, but anyway, let's take a look at it. The first thing that we see that, first of all, we have changed the kind of swing we were looking for here. Because that was Rory 2015 or 16, I believe. And since I'm looking at the swing of Rory to be more 2013, 2014, we've changed. But maybe at some point I will come back to it, to this one. Anyway, okay. So... yeah, kind of the main thing here is the shoulders that are already opening up, where you see that Rory's shoulder are kind of still flat or even pointing down at this point. Also, that's kind of, and then you have this rotation, of course, at impact, where I'm absolutely not rotating here. Even though the shoulder rotation is that bad. Anyway, okay, that was kind of it before. What does it look like after 5 weeks of training? Okay, so far so good. Left knee kind of, you see that Rory's left knee is kind of pointing little inside here. So a little more than mine. Mine is not pointing outside. Sorry, here you can see it's pointing inside. Mine is pointing outside. I believe that's kind of what create maybe a push of my hips a little too much outside. Anyway, details here, but that I kind of found. We are going to work on those details coming this week with the shaft, setting up the shaft, but that's much better. I believe that at the beginning I wasn't nearly as close as that, but you see that Rory's shaft is actually dead, almost already completely set at this point. Here, of course, because I have a slight delay of setting is set already. The only thing you can see, that I believe the main difference is not necessarily that my right elbow is lower than his. It is, but it is, I believe, because he has more spine angle, is kind of staying down a little more with his upper body than me. I'm kind of getting a little bit out of the posture, even though I've tried to keep it up. That's just something to work on. And also something that really changed. I don't know if you noticed here. My head didn't even move a bit. Because that was kind of the issue I had. Having my head moving to the right at the top of the backswing. It didn't even barely, it didn't move. That's kind of insane. Let's look at, yeah, okay, it moved a little. Okay, but that's still great. So, okay, there is also a little bit of something here, and I believe that maybe because since my upper body is I have less angle with my upper body, maybe I try to get too tall. Maybe I should get closer to the ground. But yeah, you see that my legs are kind of stiff here, not really bent that much. And I believe that's kind of the issue I found. Also, you see that this thing about the right knee that was putting inside directly during the takeaway is showing here, because then my leg is kind of, it's not that it is strong, but I don't know. That's kind of a detail. Honestly, I don't know how much that's an issue here. Is that something I should care about or not? Because I know that Rory's one of the key points that he has to work on at some point in his career was to get his left knee out of the way to be able to rotate. And maybe this is because he was kind of letting his knee drop inside on the way back, and so he had to work it out of the way to be able to continue. But I don't know. Maybe this is a good thing. I need to think about it. But that's kind of, we are going to get as close as possible to Rory's swing, and then figure out, okay, what are the things that I kind of want to remove and want to keep and so on, to get to, because I want, get close to Rory's swing, but then find my own way into its swing, so I really own it on a deeper level, and find what works for me at the end. Here, that's really the key issue. And I mean, that's not that bad, because a lot of people are telling you that that's something you should actually do, getting that right elbow in and so on. Compared to Rory, is kind of the issue that I have is you can see that as he starts activating his lower body, he's tracting his upper body, and the elbow is kind of staying up. But also it seems that his upper body is kind of very low. So maybe that's kind of the main issue that I have, that I started directly during the backswing, where my upper body was a little higher than his. And so, of course, when I'm starting down, my upper body is still higher. And so the only way I can bring the club down is actually by getting my elbow down. Well, if I stay low and get even lower and so on, maybe try to bring the club down with my upper body rather than my arm. That's kind of the question I have here. I don't know, that's something we need to investigate, but clearly you see that my upper body is not, the angle that he's creating is much lower. Because if we take a look at, okay, my head is about there, his head was there. So, and when we come yeah, did mine even drop? Yeah, it dropped. Okay. It dropped a little, but probably not as much as I could be doing it. I could do more. So that's kind of the detail here. But that kind of okay. Here, that's slightly better, but I still start losing the angle a little too soon. But yeah. And I turn a little more. That's kind of the thing. But that's kind of the few details. That's not perfect yet because I believe I kind of found the issue that I need to do is when I rotate and get the club, then when I start getting up on the ball, it's about pulling the right side and getting that right wrist, the angle of that right wrist to kind of start getting the feeling that is pushing against the shaft to do actually that. And that's the main difference that I don't have with Rory. Is kind of I don't do the push through with my right hand to increase that wrist angle through impact. And so my club, because of that, because I'm kind of just rotating and waiting for the club to catch up, and it does catch up. You see that my right wrist angle is kind of completely released. There is no angle at that point on my right wrist. And I believe that's kind of the key. The motion of the body is right, but since I'm not pushing my right side through, that because if we take a look at my right shoulder is kind of almost behind my right knee. He is also, but you see that his hip are a lot more forward, and I believe and his left hip also is kind of completely stacked over the left feet, and I believe that's kind of maybe when you try to push through with the right side, that's going to allow for more shift weight with the left and so on. I don't know. That's kind of the thing I'm thinking, but yeah, the detail are not that impressive. The improvement is not that impressive, but in terms of understanding that I have of the swing and so on, I believe we made some tremendous progress, and we are very close to actually get some result, because I believe that when things are going to click and when the detail are going to get right, the transformation is going to be pretty much insane. Also, I wanted to just note that, see on the way down the shoulder, shoulders stay close, start going up a little too soon as well. That may be also because I'm not pushing through. I don't know. Is it the last one? Yes, that's the last one. I thought. So okay, head doesn't move. Start moving down. I get. Yeah. This is at this point. When the club finish, my left shoulder get pulled, which actually pull my head. But actually, I think I found the solution with transition during the end of the backswing, but keeping the club across the line instead of starting to shallow it. I'm going to explain all of that tomorrow in tomorrow's session, but yeah, I think I have some ideas on how to fix that. But how the his shoulder also is moving forward, but he doesn't bring his head forward as well. That's kind of interesting. Yeah, and we see that as I kind of create bad separation, I believe. That's kind of the issue here. I need to really work on doing the downswing while trying to feel that my left shoulder stay low, my right shoulder stay high and behind, low and forward, and high and behind. Yeah, that's kind of the thing that we need. I mean, there is still a lot of work to do, to be honest. Yeah, and I believe that's kind of the issue here is I'm activating my shoulder too soon and then decelerating them to be able to hit to the right position. Where Rory is not accelerating them at the beginning, so he can accelerating them through. And maybe the idea of actually pushing through the ball is going to allow me to be more patient at the top, because at the moment I'm kind of forced to activate my shoulder since I'm not activating them at any point. So my subconscious is kind of catching up. I believe that's kind of the thing. Anyway, I believe that's it. So we are done. Thanks you for watching, and yeah, that was a very long weekly recap, but we had a lot of stuff to cover. Very interesting motorcycle. I believe the next motorcycle is going to be as interesting. So thanks you for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow.